Now here on Virginia This Morning to a serious and important topic, as April is Alcohol Awareness Month. Alcohol is the most addictive, commonly used substance in America, and millions of people struggle with alcohol abuse disorder. Our next guest is Chief of Psychiatry at Chippenham and Johnston Willis Hospitals and Medical Director of Tucker Pavilion at Chippenham Hospital. And if you've been with CBS 6 for a few years, going back, a former member of our Health Team 6 panel of doctors. We welcome Dr. Martin Buxton. Good to see you, Marty.
Thank you. It's so good to be back.
It's good to have you here. It's nice to see a familiar face walk through the door after all these years.
Great music. What a way to start the day.
Gave you a front row seat. That's a great thing. That music is so uplifting and it really drives the spirit. But people who use alcohol to do the same thing have a problem sometimes, don't they?
Yes, it can become progressively addictive, dependent, and a way of trying to cope that's not very effective.
Let's talk about the familial thing, because I've heard that alcoholism can be genetic. How is that?
Well, there definitely is a predisposition for addictive behaviors and addictive attachments, and basically anything could be the object of that. You know, people, we call them the isms. You can have people who can become addicted to running, exercising, spending, shoplifting, self-harm.
A bad habit.
Well, yes, we could call them bad habits to the extreme.
Right? To the extreme.
Right.
And does family history play a role?
It does. We guesstimate somewhere about a 60% occurrence etiology. In other words, it's responsible for that. It's a hard thing to track down totally, but there have been some exquisite twin studies done in Scandinavia where identical twins were separated at birth to adoption homes, and whether or not they developed addiction was much more correlative to their biological parents as opposed to their adoptive parents. And
it's called a cognitive illness. What is that?
Well, it actually, once you have the isms or the addictions, it impedes your capacity for self-awareness. So everybody around you can see you have a drinking problem, but you don't see it, and you're minimizing it and you're rationalizing it. And so it makes it so much harder to treat because people don't see the problem.
Because a lot of people will say, I'm a social drinker. What's the difference between a social drinker and stepping over the line to being an alcoholic?
Well, it's very rare to find somebody who will objectively identify that I'm a problem drinker. Generally, what people have a tendency to do is to define what's a problem in an exclusive way. I don't have a problem drinker because I work. I'm not a problem drinker because I'm 6 feet tall and I have dark hair. I mean, it's usually people, until they get into treatment and recovery, will find an exclusionary way to define it.
We talked about the family history. Is there anything that makes you predisposed or more susceptible to becoming an alcoholic?
Well, that's a fascinating question and answer. There's more and more awareness right now that I'm also a child psychiatrist, as you may remember, about attachment theory. You know, the first 6 months, 8 months of life, it's very important for the infant to make a healthy attachment to the caregiver. People who do not do that, and that can occur for a variety of reasons, seem to be predisposed later in life to using substances as a way of coping. You know, a solid, secure attachment in the first year of life to the caregiver allows you to learn how to soothe yourself later in life as things start becoming turbulent. People who don't have that kind of secure attachment, if your mother was depressed, not available, in and out, drug addicted, will have difficulty attaining that healthy type of attachment, so later on they need other ways of coping, and unfortunately an easy, quick access immediately, which problems later on, is addiction.
Let's talk about the kind of a two-faced thing. What are the signs of a problem? What should we be looking for in ourselves, and what should we be looking for in someone else?
Well, it's a diagnosis, I often say, by mosaic. So there's no hardcore one issue that makes you make the diagnosis, but generally, it would be things like a slowly progressive or fast progressive use of the substance or behavior, a tendency to hide your drinking, underestimate how much you're drinking, not being open to observations of loved ones about how you're doing, and having a family genetic predisposition and identifying members of the family. That would be another high risk factor.
What are some of the resources that people can look to if they want to get help?
Well, one of the greatest organizations in the world are the 12-step treatment programs like AA, NA. They're free, they're everywhere, they're multiple times a day. They accept people even while they're intoxicated.
And we know they work.
And we know they work. The one other problem is not everything works for everybody. Right. So there are different pathways to Rome, so to speak, to recovery. You know, NAMI, the American Board of Addiction Medicine, the medical center that I work at, and a group that I'm with called Family Counseling Center of Richmond, all these are local programs. You can easily go on the web and look up addiction, and you're going to be flooded with possibilities for treatment.
All right, well, April is Alcohol Awareness Month. Dr. Martin Buxton, good to see you again.
Great seeing you.